Today's video is going to be on this makeup look, and I use the Scotch tape method on my eyes. I'm also wearing a bold lip. This is one of the new Urban Decay lipsticks. You could really do a lot of different lip colors with this look if you don't want to go so bold. So let's jump right in. I'm using the Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation. I said in my last video how much I love this foundation, especially for the summer. And it's a little bit darker than the skin on my face, but it matches my neck and my chest, and that's what I want. And I'm buffing this into my face with a broken Morphe M439. I'm using bouncing motions to press the product into my skin. For concealer, I'm using MAC's Pro Longwear Concealer in NC20. NC means that it has a yellow undertone. And I'm putting this all over my under eye area in a triangle shape. And I'm also putting it on my eyelid because I like to use this concealer as a base for my eyeshadow. I feel that it works really well as a primer, and it also helps to cancel out all of the veins and the discoloration that we have on our eyelids. Now I'm using a dampened beauty blender. This is not actually a beauty blender. For 20 bucks, I probably spent $4 on this. I got it at Ulta. It's not Real Techniques, and I've been using it for a while and I love it. I don't see why you have to spend $20 on a little sponge. So check this one out at Ulta. I'll try to see if I can find the name of it. Now I'm using the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. I use this to set my under eye area. I don't normally set this particular foundation because it dries very well on its own, but if you like to set your foundation, or if you're using more dewy foundation, then you can set your entire face with this. I feel like it's important when you set your under eye or when you set your foundation that you use patting motions instead of swiping motions with your powder. And I decided to put my bangs up because they were getting in the way. So welcome to my forehead. Oh, P.S. It's actually not as burnt as it looks on camera. It's just a tiny bit pink, but really not that bad. For brows, I love the Anastasia Brow Wiz. My color is soft brown. I like to draw a nice clean line on the bottom half of my eyebrows, and then I trace the shape that I want my brows to be and fill it all in. I always use a spoolie after I'm done filling in my brows, especially on the front half of my brow, because it helps to take away any harsh lines. I never like harshness in the front of my brow. I like things to look a little bit softer in the front and then fade to darker. Yes, we are using Scotch tape on our face today. What you want to do is take about an inch or two of tape and stick it on the back of your hand, then peel it off and stick it on again before you put it on your face, because the eye area is so delicate that if you put it straight from the dispenser onto your eye area, you might risk, really pulling that skin, and that's not what we want to do. You can play around with the angle of the tape. You can also play around with the stickiness of the tape. I will say that one of the pieces of tape gave me some trouble, as you'll see later on. It wasn't quite as sticky as I needed it to be. So play around with that, play around with the angle. Whatever angle you choose, just make sure they're even with each other. I'm using the Tartelette In Bloom palette for this tutorial, but keep in mind that you can use any eyeshadow colors that you already have. You don't have to go out and buy a palette just for this look. The first color I'm using is Smarty Pants on a big fluffy brush. I got this one from Sephora a while ago. This is their Pro Tapered Crease, but any large fluffy eyeshadow brush will work. And I'm putting this from my crease all the way up to my eyebrow. Now I'm taking a MAC 217 brush, but any tapered crease brush will work just fine. And I'm taking the shade Rebel, which is a reddish brown color, and I'm going to put this on the outer half of my eyeball. When using the Scotch tape method, it's almost a good idea to start from the tape and swipe inward so that you don't get a lot of eyeshadow kind of stuck underneath the tape. Now to darken up the outer half of our eye a little bit more, I'm taking the shade Activist on the same brush, and I'm going to focus this on the outer third of my eye, leaving some space where you can still see the color Rebel. To make sure everything is blended nicely and there are no harsh lines, I'm taking the fluffy brush that we used to put on our transition shade, and with no additional product, I'm just running this lightly back and forth. Now for the big reveal, time to take off the tape, and we have nice crisp lines. But that right side was giving me some trouble. It wasn't quite sticky enough, and although you can't really see it on camera, there was a little spot that just wasn't quite straight and clean enough. So all you have to do if this happens is take a really small flat brush and a little bit of concealer or foundation and just clean up that line. Just draw a nice straight line to make that side even with the other side. This trick also works for eyeliner or for lipstick, especially if you're wearing a dark color. For the lid, I'm using a flat shader brush. This is a MAC 239, and I'm using the shade Rocker from the palette, which is kind of a creamy taupe gray shimmer color, and I'm packing this all over the lid. I decided that I wanted to add a little bit more warmth into the look. I felt like the shade Rebel, that brown red color, kind of disappeared a little bit, so I'm just going to put a little bit more of that right on the spot where that meets with the shade Activist. For the brow bone, I'm using a flat definer brush. This is a Sigma E15, and I'm taking the shade Funny Girl, and I'm going to put this right underneath my eyebrows. This helps to lift the eyebrow and just gives kind of a nice finishing touch to the look. You could also use a pencil brush or any small brush for this application. For the inner corner, I'm using the same shade on a small domed brush. This is Eco Tools. This is their smudge brush, but again, any small brush will work. Now to smoke out the lower lash line, I'm taking an IT Cosmetics brush. This is the Precision Smudger, and it's the same shape as the last brush that I used. It's just a little bit more firm, and I'm taking the color Rebel and running this back and forth underneath my lower lashes. And now for the final step with our eyeshadow. I'm taking a MAC 228, this lovely little brush right here, and I'm taking the shade Activist, and I'm putting this very, very close to my lashes. I pretty much went all the way from the outer corner to the inner corner, but you can experiment, try going just halfway in or even a third of the way in and just see what you like the best. While using Scotch tape does give you a super clean line, I wasn't loving how harsh the line was. If you like it really nice and clean, then just, leave it as it is. But I wanted to soften up the edges a little bit, so I'm just taking a Q-tip and just running it back and forth. And right here, yeah, don't do this with your eyes. Don't do that. Do as I say, not as I do. Now I'm going to go ahead and curl my eyelashes and put on 2 coats of mascara. Today I'm using the Maybelline The Falsies Push Up Drama. I really like this mascara. I know this might seem like a little bit extra, but on my lower lashes I like to use Rimmel's Lash Accelerator. The wand gives me a more precise application. To contour, I'm using Benefit's Hoola Bronzer and an e.l.f. contour brush. This is the first time that I've ever used this brush. Normally my contour is a little bit more kind of blown out in a way, and it looked super harsh on camera, as you can see by my facial expression, but it really looked pretty darn awesome in person. I was really happy with the way this came out. So I'm using swiping motions back and forth, and then see, I'm saying it doesn't look that bad in person. So I'm using swiping motions back and forth, and then I blend it up towards, the top part of my cheeks, and my face is cut and sculpted. For blush, I'm using Laura Geller's Baked Blush in Fruit Punch, and any fluffy blush brush will work for this application. For highlight, this is everybody's favorite thing to do right now. I can't believe how many highlighting products have been coming out. I'm using, again, Laura Geller's Gilded Honey Highlighter. It's a really popular one. And then Becca Cosmetics Champagne Pop, and I'm mixing them together. The brush is a Real Techniques setting brush. I'm just applying this to the very tops of my cheekbones. There are 3 layers when you do contour, blush, and highlight. You'll be able to see every different product, but it should have that very gradient and blended effect. But that highlight though. This is one of the 100 new lipsticks that Urban Decay just came out with. This is the color Trist, and the formula is cream. It looks very neon on camera. I've actually been on the search for this perfect peachy red color, and this is very bright, but I love it. It's really pretty for summer. When you're applying lipstick or lip gloss, it's important to get the corners of your lips too, but very, very lightly. So you don't want to skip that area of your lips. You want to make sure that the product is over your entire lips, if that makes sense. That's it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe. Bye, guys. Why do I suck at freaking intros? It's so awkward.